Today, we're going to show you how to pick a saber for your choreographed lightsaber duels. Good day, lightsaber addicts. Today, I'll discuss with you on how to choose a saber for your duels. Although we're going to be talking about choreographed duels, most of the advice I will give can go towards actual saber duels also. The first thing to talk about is pretty obvious, your hilt. You're going to want to make sure that the hilt is comfortable in your hands. This will depend on the size of your own hands, obviously. First is the length. Typically, you want your dominant hand on top, not touching the blade, of course, and your other hand will go below it, about an inch or two. You don't want your hands to touch, because this will really impede your movement. If you're trying to swing down and your hands are touching, whereas if it's down an inch or two, you have better movement. Your second hand should not be below the pommel though. Width is also a factor in this. You don't want to be stretching your hands around your hilt. So, like in this case, it feels comfortable, feels great. With my Electrum, it's a lot thicker. And I have to stretch my hands to make sure it's comfortable. And I find the length is a lot longer, so I wouldn't be able to wield this as well. If I'm having my hand by the pommel, I have about 4 or 5 inches. 4 inches. So this one is not good for myself to duel with. Also, the weight of the hilt should be a factor in this. In choreographed duels, you'll be moving fast, doing spins and tosses, and it's going to be really difficult with a heavy hilt. So, for example, an apprentice from Ultra Sabers, nice and light. This is what I do a lot of my tosses with anyways. Something like the Electrum, it's really heavy. Wouldn't be good, at least not for myself, to be doing tosses with this. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is choke points. A lot of sabers have the choke point, so I highly recommend you get a saber that does have one. And a choke point is the place on the saber where it's a bit thinner. I'll also show you. That one also has a groove in here. This is where you'll put your fingers when you're doing fancy sabering. Doing spins, you're going to put it in the choke point. Having no choke point will not make for good spins or tosses. It just won't. Poor Electrum is not good for too much, except for show. The next topic will be about balance. Typically, you're going to want to be able to put your 2 fingers where the blade meets the hilt and let it balance. So this is pretty close. If it's slightly off balance, it's not a problem. The reason is that you're going to want to be doing spins in your choreographed duel, and it'll make your whole tricking, tossing, spins a lot more smoother. There are ways to make it heavier on one side or the other. Like for example, this one, since the hilt is really heavy, it really goes down quick. I think the balance point's right here. There we go. I would rather a bit more heaviness in my blade than in the hilt, personally. But you can use different kinds of blades, like a mid-grade blade instead of a heavy grade blade, and that can cut down on the blade heaviness. Or you could exchange pommels and put a lighter one on, possibly. So if you already have a hilt, you can do that and play around with it. But typically you want it to be balancing pretty much in the middle, if you can. That'll make tosses and spins a lot more awesome. So speaking of blades, heavy or mid-grade? Well, personally I use heavy, but that's just a personal preference for me. But when you're practicing, you do tend to drop your saber a lot during your tosses, hit harder in practice. So I need my blades to be like really, really strong. However, I find balance is more important. So if that is the problem of balance, then go for a mid-grade blade instead. Just don't hit as hard, or you'll have a broken blade. You shouldn't be hitting hard towards the ending of your practices anyways when you got your choreographed duel done, because really you're going for speed and accuracy to make your video look awesome, or your choreographed duels look awesome. So you're going to probably want a mid-grade blade later. So audio or no audio? Well, again, this is a personal preference. I'll explain my choice. I prefer to use stunt sabers that have no audio in my practices. However, when I do show off the duel in a crowd, I will turn or get another saber that'll have an audio mechanism on it. The reason why I do this is because if you're hearing the lightsaber sound for hours and during practice, it's really bound to get annoying, and you really don't want that. We love the sound of a lightsaber. You don't want to start to hate it just like sand. You really don't. All right. So practice with a stunt saber, and then when you're ready to do your duel, then you can use one with audio. Also, another part to this is that in the audio sabers, there's more parts, and just like anything else, the chances go up that it will break or not work with the more parts there are. So if you're missing tosses and dropping your saber, or hitting hard, the chances will go up that your speaker may break or something else may become loose. If it's just a stunt saber, at the very least, if it breaks, you've only paid $80, maybe $100. However, if you break a stunt saber, an audio saber, you're looking at about $300, $400 to replace it. So practice with a stunt, and then when you have it good and you're about to do your duel in front of a live audience or for your video, use the audio. You'll probably save yourself a headache afterwards. And trust me, that has happened to me. That's why this does not being used for dueling. The speaker came off. So it happens. That's my first saber though. So it's right on my desk, stays there all the time. So I do hope you learned something today. If you do have any questions, I can definitely try to answer them. We recently started a Patreon account page, so the link to that will be in the description along with our other social media accounts. And if you can help with this channel, that would be really amazing. We really need the support, and it would be awesome if even $2 a month. That'd be great. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, so we'll be posting more videos and you'll be able to see them as soon as they get up. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you all for the support. If you'd like to support the channel, go to my Patreon page. We also have Instagram and Facebook. The links are in the description below.